Not to talk.
It's okay. Today, after a student revealed some questions for me and concerns, here's my answers to the student, which I find would be beneficial for the rest of the public to also hear and understand. So, when we are single, have no family and no loved ones, we tend to have a lot of time to ourselves to ponder, like a philosopher. You know, we ponder a lot about things. I'm glad that you brought up the fact that how other religions like Christianity has heaven and hell, reward and punishment explanations, and Buddhism's explanation on that is a little confusing, difficult to grasp. And my response to you is, when it comes to the heaven and hell, we also have that. You know what? If you do good, then good things will happen to you. If you don't, well, karma never forgets an address. The heaven and hell, it can be experienced here on earth, right? If you do good things, you can experience the joy of that good in the present moment and reflect on that good when you go to sleep, when you wake up. Hell is like when you steal from somebody and then you have to worry about when the police gonna come knocking on your door. If you cheat, kill, steal, just the things that is not wholesome, unskilled, untrained actions, you can see that how, people come and get you. Whether it's law enforcement or enemies that one has created for oneself. Okay. So number one, heaven and hell can be experienced right here and then. Direct evidence of that, by and through body, speech, and mind, of what a person does. Your second question was about the rebirth realms, about I'm not sure what's going to happen when I die. And that's a very valid and good question. We got a lot of background noise. Okay, we moved from the noise. The 6 rebirth realms is difficult for the general public to understand fully, comprehensively, effectively, and the acceptance of that is because it goes into details, and it is also culturally rich behind it that not a lot of people, we've seen, for example, the animal realm. Why some dogs have personalities, why some dogs or cats are more intelligent than other dogs and cats. Why they have emotions. That's one thing that we extensively study is, that they can feel emotions. Like we've witnessed, monkeys dragging corpses of their young ones with them until they can no longer drag that corpse anymore, down to bones, because of attachment. We've seen donkeys commit suicide in lakes. They get sad, their loved one was born, and then they commit suicide in lakes, having lost the desire to live. It takes a lot of research into the animal realm. And if you ever, talk to people who are veered towards horses, they can tell you the horses are so intelligent that they understand the human better than the human understand themselves. So one must ask, wow, that's amazing. The Buddhist view on animals is that they were all once humans. Okay. Before they took rebirth, and because of attachment, anger, and delusion, the way that karma works determine their rebirth the way that it is. In the 4 stages of enlightenment, Arahant is the top. If you become an Arahant, you will no longer take rebirth. I call that the cool kids club. You don't come back. And I predict that, you just hang out with the other Arahants and continue studying until you become a Buddha. Every Arahant was a Buddha. Not every Buddha was an Arahant. The first stage of enlightenment is Sotapan, which is stream entry. Some elements of becoming stream entry is right view, not having doubts about the Dhamma. Not attached to rituals. So the Buddha have given a very comprehensive requirements as to how to enter the stages of enlightenment. Once returner, no returner. It is agreed upon, you can see empirically, that animals are ignorant. It is easy to see that some humans behave like animals because of ignorance. Eat, poop, sleep, eat, poop, sleep. Not very intelligent. Or do really dumb things that an animal would do. We've seen that. Again, you don't have to wait until you die to see what the animal realm is like. You can witness the animal realm here in this lifetime with humans, directly our own species, nonetheless any other species. So if we just took that aspect alone of ignorance, right? Because if a person dies and at the time of death they are ignorant of the Four Noble Truths, you bet your butt that human is most likely going to become in the animal realm. That's if they're lucky. If they die with ignorance and negative accumulated karma, then perhaps they become an amoeba or a bacteria or a virus, of which no one sees. I mean, they're just so tiny that I don't know. Well, they're going to be fighting with other bacteria, viruses, mitochondria. They'll be in that realm of cellular level, okay, which is really bad, which is rough. There are more bacteria and viruses than humans. Everyone can agree that. So when we look around us and we see the atrocious things that humans do, countries and nations and leaders do, is no wonder why they become amoebas and bacterias and viruses in this lake alone. Just how many bacteria do you think lives on the surface of this lake or in the water, the molecular level of the water? You get what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to focus on that rebirth alone, the understanding of that rebirth alone, and what constitutes that rebirth. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you don't study, this is what's going to happen. I got 2 students right now that are very young and are very intelligent. I got one that's 17. I got the other one is 18 years old. But then when they started with me, they were like 15, 16 years old. One of them just wants to become a monk at like that age. And I'm like, you're Gen Z, you're Gen Alpha. You want to become one of us, why? And I got, another student up North Florida who I've made saint by virtue of wisdom at 16 years old. That's amazing for a generation of their kind to have asked me master's doctorate level questions in Buddhism at 16, because they've done so much readings and they understand the Dhamma so fast, excel so quickly. It's like, it's like a 6-year-old kid coming into your karate place and all of a sudden by like 8 years old, they have a black belt and can demonstrate with exact accuracy of every katas and movements, form. It was like, wow, at 8 years old. Okay, so in Buddhism, we have those kind of kids. How did they become those kind of kids? Well, perhaps in their last life, they were monks previously, have accumulated the Dhamma before. Now taking rebirth in this lifetime, it's already there. The software is already there. Why can't most people become doctors? Incapable of studying to become doctors. Because they've never had prior knowledge of medicine. But perhaps in their last life, they were doctors. So in this lifetime, that they're able to do it again, understand it analytically so easily than other people. Same thing with other professions, mathematicians, engineers. Okay, so this is the explanation of the continuous consciousness of knowledge, which the Buddha said, this is the only thing that's going to carry on with you. The good things and the bad things that you've done, and the stream of consciousness that coming up to 10 minutes, continuing.